In this video we'll explore how to use sliders. Now first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to graphics. I'm going to put my grid lines on there and make it a little bit easier to see. And I'm going to use my move tool and just shift my graph over a little bit so that it's easier to see as we create things. Now sliders are up here as one of my visible icons. If I come here, it's right beside that move tool is the word slider and says click on the graphics to view a specific position. So if I click on it, I can come down anywhere in my screen. I click and it's going to ask me what I want to name it and whether I want to represent a number, an angle, or an integer. So in this case I'm just going to leave it as a number, and A is perfectly fine. What's nice is I have options as to how I want to create my slider. So maybe I want my minimum value to be -10 and go up to 10, and I can change even the increment into tenths, hundredths, thousandths, whole number units, tens place, whatever you want. I'll leave mine as just 1/10. The slider allows you to change how wide or how big your slider is on the screen, as well as whether or not it stays fixed in a specific location that you put it. And then animation allows you to actually animate the slider so that your dynamic function or graph can actually change just by clicking it. We're going to leave those items alone for now, and I'll click apply. So here's my slider, and I can click and drag and you can see the numbers change. So let's create a second slider and put it right below, and this one's called B. I'm fine with that. I'm going to again make it -10 to 10, and the increment's perfectly fine. Now see how they don't line up? If I don't like that, I can right click and remove this fixed object, and then I can click and drag it so that they're more in line with one another. Just an aesthetic piece. It's not necessarily something that is a major issue, but then I right click and I can fix the object again. So now when I drag B, I'm only going to change the number. Well, how? You can see I clicked on the screen again. It wants me to create another slider. I'm going to cancel that, and I'm going to go back over to my pointer tool. So now I can click on my screen and I'm not doing anything crazy. Now say I want to create a dynamic function of the linear equation. So if you think about that, that would be y equals mx plus b. Well, in this case we're going to replace our coefficients m and b with our sliders. So y equals, and you can see I'm down here in the input bar. Well, instead of having m for slope, in this case I'm going to use a, and I literally just type the letter A times x, and I use the shift and 8 to make the multiplication sign, plus b, and b is represented by my other one. And you can see here it says -9/10 x plus 3.5. If I change my y-intercept or my b value, you can see it changes my y-intercept. If I change my a value, you can see that it changes the slope of the line, which will allow students to do a lot of exploration of a linear function. Now say you want to go even a little bit further with them, and you want to make sure they understand that since we talk about slope normally in fractional form, there is a way that Geogebra can help with that. Now if you look on the right hand side of the input bar, there is a lot of help options with all the different terms and whatnot that can be used. And one of those, as you start to learn them, you can just start to type them into the input bar. For example, maybe I want this decimal to be written as a fraction. So what I could do is fraction. You can see here's all my fraction options, a fraction text for point or fraction text for number. Well, the 1.1 or the a value is a number, so I'm going to do fraction text. I'm going to replace that with the letter A, and it's going to tell me, well, what is my slope as a fraction, which is a lot easier if I'm talking with my students, that they can say, oh, 1/2 or -2/5, so they understand what's going on with the slope. Just a small thing that can help depending on how you want to use sliders and how you want to use different ideas of exploring functions.